Indy Eats. It's a program that shows people how to cook healthy, affordable, accessible meals at home. I'm Caitlin Rupp, co-founder of a local nonprofit, Indy Veg Fest, that encourages people to eat more plant-based foods.
And I am Ambrielle. On social media, I am Black Mama Vegan, and along the same lines of Indy Veg Fest, I do a lot of educational workshops around plant-based eating and veganism as a lifestyle. And today we're gonna prepare a recipe that I'm really excited about. All right, so the recipe that we're gonna make today are enchiladas. And so I'm really excited about it. It's one of the things that I like to prepare at home with my kiddos. And so the first thing that we're gonna make in the recipe is our nacho cheese sauce. Now typically nacho cheese sauces are made with cashews, or they can be made with cauliflower. I'm actually gonna cheat a little bit today. I found plant-based Alfredo sauce from Kroger that I'm gonna try to mold into a cheese sauce that we're going to use today, just to make life a little bit easier, because that can be found easily at the store. So this is what that looks like. Nutritional yeast is also an option to put in there. This helps to make things cheesy. It also can be found pretty much at any grocery store you go to. Kroger is where I shopped at for these ingredients today. And so that's going to go into our cheese sauce as well. And then I'm going to use a little bit of veggie broth to kind of thin things out and bring it all together.
And Ambrielle, is this something that you would cook at home with your kids and have your kids kind of chip in and do different parts of it?
Absolutely. So my boys really love to cook with me in the kitchen. So I would have them get out the utensils typically, and they're really good with measuring. So I would have them, maybe there's 3 boys, so I may have them each take an ingredient, measure things out, put it all together. They're still learning how to cook on the heat, so maybe not put it in the bowl or the skillet to do that, but at least measuring the items out and helping to prepare it in that way.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, so for the nacho cheese sauce, we're only going to use about 1/4 of a cup of the Alfredo sauce. I'm going to use this. Awesome.
How long have you been cooking vegan food?
I've been cooking vegan food for about 4.5 years. We're going to put that in that bowl right there. For about 4.5 years. So at first, for the first, I would say 6 months or so, it was a lot of beans and rice because I didn't know what I was doing. But Pinterest and just following some other people, it made things a lot easier for me to prepare recipes and do things like that. So yeah, I would say. And then we're going to use 1 teaspoon of nutritional yeast. Actually, let's do a tablespoon. Nutritional yeast, again, is just really good for making things cheesy. I use this a lot when preparing noodles sometimes for my kids. So if it's a quick meal, I'll just boil some noodles, maybe use a little bit of oil, and then I'll add some nutritional yeast, and it kind of makes it creamy, makes it like a cheesy pasta, really quick and easy dinner.
Yeah, nutritional yeast is great. It's really rich in B12, so
Yes.
If you're looking for a way to supplement your B vitamins, it's a great source of B12. And actually, my dad, who's on a low sodium diet, uses it as a salt substitute as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so he puts it on just about everything. He loves it.
I do too.
Yeah.
We roast veggies. It goes on roasted veggies.
Yep.
It goes in anything that I cook. It also can be used as a thickener, I found too. So it doesn't always have to make things cheesy. You can put it in some chili or other things if you want to kind of thicken things up a little bit. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of veggie broth just to kind of thin out the Alfredo sauce. There's 1. There's 2. All right. And this is something that I just made up, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit. It's not something that I've done before, but I figured it would be easier than trying to find cashews. You've got to soak them, using a food processor. If you don't have that accessible at home, I want to try to make it easier for you to be able to prepare something. So
this is so much easier.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're just going to kind of whisk that all together. Whisk everything up.
And you found all of these ingredients at Kroger?
I did. Yep. Everything at Kroger is fairly easy. I like Kroger because you can usually buy one, get one free of something, which is what I did with the walnuts. The walnuts that we're going to use in this recipe were buy one, get one free. And walnuts are a good item you can use for several different things. So that's about the amount. We can add a little bit more, I think, of the Alfredo sauce. So
Just put some in here?
yeah, let's add a little bit more. So in total, I would say about a half a cup of the Alfredo sauce that we're using. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the veggie broth. I would say 1 more teaspoon of the veggie broth to kind of thin it out. All right. There's that. And we're just going to whisk that together. Now this, I'm not going to warm up in the skillet because this is going to be used as a topping for our enchiladas and part of the filling, so it doesn't have to be hot right now. We're just going to kind of...
Looks good.
It does look good. It thinned out really well.
Yep.
I'm also going to add a pinch of salt. And we're using pink salt for this. Just add a pinch. There we go. Just a pinch. That can be a guesstimate. And then once this is all prepared, then we can put this to the side because again, we're going to use this for the filling. And we can add a little bit on top as well. Okay, so that can go off to the side. And now we're going to make our enchilada sauce. That you can buy enchilada sauce, of course, in the can, but making it homemade typically is much better because you know the ingredients that are going inside of it. So that will be a very easy recipe. It's just a few spices, some veggie broth and flour, and you kind of just whisk it all together until it thickens up. So we're going to walk through that process as well.
Sounds great. I've never made enchilada sauce. I have to confess. I'm always the one to buy enchilada sauce at the store because I like shortcuts.
Nice. Well, we're going to use some chili powder. We're going to use a little bit of tomato paste. We already have the veggie broth. We're going to use a little bit of veggie broth. We're going to use some flour. If you need it to be gluten-free, you can use gluten-free flour as well. I'm just using a regular white flour and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Sometimes you can sub lemon for apple cider vinegar. Some people just have a taste preference with apple cider vinegar versus lemon.
Yep.
We're just gonna, it's only calling for, I believe, about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar for this recipe. So we're gonna have that out and a little bit of cumin and garlic powder. All right, so we have all of our ingredients out for our enchilada sauce, which is really, really simple. First, we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of flour. Again, if you need it to be gluten-free, you can purchase a gluten-free one, but I'm just using a regular flour. And so it's easier to kind of mix these in a bowl first, just so you can have all the spices that you're going to use combined. All right, there's your 3 tablespoons of flour. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of chili powder. So you might see that my spices are in little baggies. I try to buy them in bulk as much as possible because it's a little bit cheaper. And you can reuse your containers that you already have. So if you buy chili powder, let's just say once, or you buy cumin or whatever in a glass container or whatever container you use, buying in the bulk section after that reduces waste. And it's, like I said, typically a little bit cheaper to buy those.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah. I love it. I've got little jars everywhere.
And how many stores do you find, how many grocery stores have bulk spice sections? There are a couple I know in Indy, but I'm trying to think. Good Earth and Broad Ripple has, and Fresh Time.
Fresh Time does, Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of those do. And they're just easier. It's just really a lot easier to do. And they have a lot of different options as well. Like if you do go to Good Earth, it's a health and food store in Broad Ripple. If you did want to go there, they have 4 different types of chili powder. So you can kind of choose,
degrees of spices, different peppers.
Yeah, 3 different types of cinnamon. It's like, I didn't know there were 3 different types of cinnamon, but okay. All right, we're going to do a half teaspoon of cumin. Let's get that out there. There's 1, there's a 4th. Let's use 2 of those. All right. Half teaspoon of cumin. And really overall, when you're making like taco seasoning or things for chili, pretty much all of those things have the same kind of spices. So sometimes it's to your benefit to go ahead and make those things at home, store them in a little jar if you have it, and then that way when you're ready to make your tacos and when you're ready to make chili, you kind of
have
already
your taco seasoning
you
all ready to go.
have it put together. Yep.
Now, if you wanted to buy taco seasoning in the store instead of using these separate spices, would that work for this as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
that could work. Because it's a base of chili powder, which is most enchilada sauces are going to require that. So this was a half teaspoon of garlic powder that we're using. We're going to use a half teaspoon of salt, which I think I put it back here. Now, a lot of times I guesstimate on things and I taste as I go. So it's kind of up to you. If you feel like you put all these spices together and it's not enough, or maybe it was a little too much, there's ways to thin it out. You can use a little bit of water if you need to thin things out to make them less salty, or add a little bit more if you really like cumin or if you really like garlic. You can always add more. So start with the basis of your recipe and then add as you go.
I think everyone has their preferences when it comes to taste and how spicy they want something, how much garlic to put in. I know I always overdo it with the garlic because that's my preference, but some people really don't like a lot of garlic, so it just depends.
It just depends. So you just mix all of that together, and you can kind of see enchilada sauce is like a reddish, deep red color. You can kind of already see that in just the dry mix. So you just whisk that all together.
Yeah, the chili powder really brought
out that color. Yeah. All right, and so in your skillet or your pot, whatever you're going to use, you add about 3 tablespoons of water. So we're going to do that. Turn the heat down a little bit. All right, that's about 3 tablespoons. Okay, so that's already warm, and then what you're going to do is you're going to add in your powder mix. And then you just start whisking, and you whisk right away. We need to add in our veggie broth, so we're going to use 2 cups of veggie broth. Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, with the apple cider vinegar, you can use apple cider vinegar or you can use lemon, but we're going to use 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar as well.
All right.
Go
ahead.
Yep.
And
I'll just
There's
keep
one.
twisting that. Thank you.
And you said 2 cups, right?
2 cups.
Okay.
Yep, 2 cups. And with your sauce, you just kind of keep whisking it. You want to get the lumps out. Try to make it as thin as possible so that you can spread it out. You can go ahead and add that in. Thank you. Nice. It's got a really good color. You can really smell that chili powder, and the garlic. Just mix that.
So I know I've been trying to cook more at home and not eat out so much. Do you have any suggestions for when you're at the store, you know, thinking through your week? Do you do meal planning for the whole week? How does that happen for you with a big family?
So honestly, I recently started meal planning. Typically what I would do before, which people were like, how do you do this? But I would go stand in the kitchen and just kind of stand there and think, like, what do I have in the pantry?
What do you have?
What do I
can
have?
I make with this?
Let's put that together.
Yep.
But doing that every day can be exhausting, especially if you're working, if you have multiple children like I do, and you're trying to do that. So I have been meal prepping for the past few weeks, and it has been a game changer. So I pretty much buy the same things every time I go to the grocery store. We're always buying our fresh fruits, fresh veggies, you know, a few other things here and there, and then I just kind of meal prep from there. So I don't necessarily go into the store with with recipes and like, okay, I need to buy these things, because we eat the same things all the time. And that's going to guarantee that we're not going to waste food versus buying something new.
And you know what your family likes.
Exactly. So I buy those same things, and then I'll either find recipes that fit what we already have, or again, sometimes I'll just kind of get creative. And on Sundays, I usually just try to take 15 minutes or 20 minutes and say, okay, this is what we have, and then I'll go ahead and just start making the plans for Monday through Friday. fortunately,
wow.
we
15 or 20 minutes, that's great.
Yes.
I thought it would take a lot longer than that,
No.
but that's really not a lot of
15,
time.
20 minutes. And so I think also one of the things that makes life easy is trying to have set days. So like every Friday is Pizza Friday at our house. So we already know, guaranteed, every Friday we're having pizza, and we usually make pizza at home. Usually every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday or Nacho Tuesday. So honestly, I'm only planning for about 3 days. The weekends are kind of up in the air. If we're going to be busy, sometimes we'll just grab something on the go. But if I know we're going to be in for that weekend, then I'll plan for a more fun meal, because I try to be as healthy as possible Monday through Friday. And then Saturdays I try to let, them kind of choose, or we have like a more fun meal on the weekends. But
that's great.
It honestly doesn't take that long. Like I said, 15, 20 minutes, buy the same things you're going to buy, and then just see what do I have and just kind of plan it from there.
Yeah, I think meal prepping and planning can be so intimidating. I mean, I know it is for me, so it's really encouraging to hear that it really is a short time commitment, one day before your week starts. That's great.
Yep.
So you said you buy mostly the same fruits and vegetables that you know your family likes.
Yep.
Does that change seasonally, or is it influenced by maybe what's on sale or anything, or is it the same?
For sure. I definitely have been doing more of shopping in season as much as I can, because produce is going to be cheaper when you buy things in season. So fall and winter, we're a very heavy berry family, so we love all the berries.
All those antioxidants and berries.
We love all the berries, and so in the wintertime we kind of struggle because they're more expensive, or if certain things I want to try to buy organic, they're not available in the wintertime. So we switch to doing more apples. Bananas are always going to be readily available. And then we'll typically do more smoothies and do frozen fruits and still kind of get that berry antioxidant. But summertime, we're all about the
berries come in.
In
the
all
summer.
The blueberries, the strawberries, the blackberries, the raspberries, the mango.
I love berries too.
So once this is done, you can remove this from the heat, and so we can just pour this right on back in here. And again, that enchilada sauce is going to be used a little bit later in our recipe.
Oh, it smells so good.
It does smell good. So we've got our nacho cheese sauce made. We've got our enchilada sauce made, so we can put those to the side. And now we're going to get to the real part of the recipe, which is making the enchilada. And so with that, we are going to use cauliflower, mushrooms, and walnuts. Do you bake with those or make food with those often?
I do, never together. I don't think I've made them all together, but I have made walnut meat tacos, which are amazing. It's a great way to kind of mimic that, like that nice meaty texture that you get with like a ground meat in tacos.
Yes.
Of course you can always use beans or tofu, but walnut meat is my favorite like meaty texture that I've tried so far for tacos specifically.
I like chickpeas. I use chickpeas a lot. We make chickpea salad, but I like using chickpea stew. Kind of gives that texture as well.
Yep.
So I'll use that and quinoa a lot. So I'll put those two together.
Yeah. I thought about that before.
You got it.
Ideas.
That is a very good combination. Okay, so when you are cooking, sometimes you forget things, and I forgot the tomato paste. So we're going to add the enchilada sauce back to the pot so we can add the 2 tablespoons of tomato paste that we need.
All right.
And
2 tablespoons?
2 tablespoons.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
It's just this.
Awesome. Awesome.
Ooh, it's thick.
It is thick. Get as much of it as we can.
That.
Yep.
All right.
That's cool. So just like you did before, just kind of whisk it in. You want it just to blend in with everything else. Nice, nice, nice. See?
Ooh,
easy enough. Yeah, easy enough. All done. All right, so there's your enchilada sauce. Finalized.
Perfect.
Yes.
Back in there.
That there. And now we can pour this back in here to use for later.
Ooh, yeah. That's great. There it is. That looks good.
Yes, yes. All right, so we'll bring this on. And then next what we'll do is we'll get our cauliflower that we're gonna use, and our mushrooms, and our walnuts. So again, if I have a food processor at home that I can use to sometimes crunch things down. However, oddly enough, I enjoy standing there and chopping things down. It's calming for me.
I know, I understand. And, you know, sometimes you want them to be like a specific size, which is really hard to get with food processor.
Yes, it is. Because it's like, do I pulse twice? Do I grind it then pulse?
Right.
So with these, we're going to just kind of chop them down to a decent size. Because some people, you know, it just depends on, like you said, that texture. What do you want to feel? Do you want it to kind of be more fine? Do you want it to be a little bit thicker? I really like texture, so I like to bite into things, kind of feel that crunch. So I'm not gonna chop them down very small, if that's okay
Sounds
with
good
you.
to me.
Okay.
Yes, we are on the same page with that.
Yes, I like that.
So these trays are compostable. That's really cool. I just have to point that out. I haven't seen these before, so that is nice.
Absolutely.
Really nice.
Yes, and so again, all these things I found at Kroger. The walnuts were buy one, get one free at the moment, so that was awesome. Paid a few dollars and got tons of walnuts. So.
And walnuts are so good for you. They're high in omega-3s for brain health.
Yes.
They have a lot of protein,
yes.
minerals.
Yes, absolutely. Alrighty. So just a rough chop, again, it depends on your texture. If you have a food processor at home, definitely use it if you, that's what you want to do. If you want to get some stress out, you can just stand and chop.
After a long day.
After a long day, it just helps you to think. But walnuts, I mean, it's really easy to chop through if you can see that. You just kind of take your time and just kind of chop through them. And again, with this, so I'm very much of add in what you love, take out what you don't. So even if a recipe calls for, like this is calling for about a half a cup of walnuts. If you want more of the mushroom cauliflower texture, use a little bit more of that. If you love the walnut crunch, use a little bit more of that. But this will call for a half a cup of walnuts. So we'll just kind of cut this up, about a half a cup.
It really is just about making it your own.
It really is.
Your family's preferences and how they like to eat.
And that takes the complicatedness out of it. I think sometimes when we're cooking or when we're introducing people to plant-based eating, sometimes, you know, it can seem overwhelming or that it's complicated, but it really can be simple. Buying some of the things that you already like and just turning them into dishes that can be really delicious. And so for the cauliflower, we need about 2 cups of cauliflower. If you have the opportunity to buy riced cauliflower in your store, definitely do that. But same thing, you can always just buy fresh cauliflower and then just chop it down.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Kind of that same thing.
I know we get riced cauliflower at Aldi, frozen in bags. It's super simple for when you really don't have time to prep cauliflower.
Yes.
You can just throw some frozen riced cauliflower in a pot, heat it up, you know, saute it. We do like onions, garlic, maybe a little bit of olive oil. You can use vegetable broth, and that works really well.
I actually was going to roast some cauliflower one time with my boys. I couldn't even get it into the oven. Like, I just tossed it with oil and some salt and pepper, and they were like eating it by the handfuls.
Yep, there you go.
So it turned out to be a snack versus dinner, but that was okay. But again, I think that's also important too with trying to have, you know, your kids in the kitchen if you can, introducing them to what you're doing and cooking as well. But I like that idea. We don't cook with cauliflower a ton, but it is a very versatile food.
Incredibly.
You can use it in a lot of things.
So your kids eat a lot of vegetables, which is great. Do they ever tell you that they don't like a vegetable, or are they ever picky in any way?
They're picky when they don't necessarily get what they want for a meal sometimes, but they eat pretty much. At times I'm honestly surprised. Like I'll try something like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna like it, and they end up loving it. Like it's funny to or sometimes they'll fight over vegetables. I'm like, are we really fighting over roasted broccoli right now? Like,
wow, yeah, that's fantastic.
Can we not fight over the broccoli?
That's like every parent's dream. That's
right,
fantastic.
right. But no, they're very open to trying new things, and I think it's part of the reason is because I let them in the kitchen as much as possible. You know, and I've been doing that since they could kind of walk. Just showing them what I'm doing when we go to the grocery store. store, pointing things out and saying what it is.
So they've been exposed to that from an early age, just
Yep.
knowing what vegetables you use and how you prepare them and seeing them and being involved in the process and
Yep.
grocery shopping.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes a difference.
It does make a difference. And then, you know, I try to sit with them, or my, you know, our family, we try to sit together and have our meals, but I sit with them, you know, even during the day if we're having a snack, and they're going to eat celery if I'm eating celery, you know, because they see me eating it. It's a positive influence for them. So
Absolutely.
again, just trying things out. But no, they eat celery, carrots, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts.
Yep, that's amazing.
Yeah, the whole
My
nine.
husband doesn't even like asparagus. So, you know, they love asparagus.
They do, and they
Yeah.
actually request it sometimes. Like,
Yep.
Mommy, can you buy asparagus? I'm like,
Yeah, it's one of
okay.
my favorites. I really
yeah,
like it.
it is. It is. All right, so we've chopped down our 2 cups of cauliflower.
Yep,
We've got
looks
our
great.
walnuts, and the last thing we need are 4 ounces of mushrooms. This is an 8-ounce package, so you're going to use about half of it. But again, if you want more cauliflower, maybe sub that in for more.
Yeah.
If you want more mushroom, do that. So we're just going to use about half the pack of the mushrooms. I'm just going to kind of guesstimate that. Alrighty. All right. Can you put that in the bowl for me?
Absolutely.
How would you like
So the
to do it?
cauliflower, the walnuts go in the bowl?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move these over here.
Awesome. Do you need the knife? Or are you gonna
Sure.
slide it all
Yeah,
in?
I'm gonna try to slide it in without spilling anything. This will be my challenge for the day. All right. Ooh, yeah.
Awesome.
Got it.
Awesome. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Woo!
Perfect.
I'm sweating.
You did it.
I did. The pressure is on. Woo.
You did it. It was a success. It was a success. All right. Now we're just gonna chop down the mushrooms. Are you fine with keeping it kind of chunky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I do like mushrooms. I'm a huge fan. So.
I do too. So my
yeah.
husband did not like mushrooms. He actually despised mushrooms. And so what I would do is I would cut them up really, really small and sneak them in into the enchiladas. If I was
Yep.
making spaghetti, I would just kind of add it to the sauce. So that's another thing. If you're making spaghetti, if you want to make things more nutritionally like dense for your family, is maybe you just buy a regular marinara sauce or a regular spaghetti sauce, but then maybe chop down and add some other things in it.
Ooh,
and
yeah,
mix
I
it
love
all
that
together.
idea.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I would use just a regular marinara sauce. I would chop down mushrooms, peppers, onions, saute that really good, and let them get really soft. Then add the sauce and mix it all in. Nobody ever knew
It's an amazing
what was in
idea.
it.
It's great.
So that's what I did with
Remember
him
that.
and mushrooms. And because I love mushrooms on my pizza, stuffed mushrooms,
Yes.
fried mushrooms, the whole 9.
Yep.
And finally, I converted him over to where he actually requests mushrooms now.
Ooh, all right.
And
See,
they
a lot
don't
of
have to
people
be
don't
fried.
like mushrooms.
Yes, they don't have to be fried.
Yep, imagine
He'll just eat them. So that's cool. So
Yeah,
even,
mushrooms.
Yeah, it's and that's what another thing that I do when I tell people is, you know, a lot of times your palate, you've been used to kind of eating the same things for a long
Right,
time, and so
right.
it's okay if you don't like something right away, you know, but try to
Yep.
incorporate it somehow in a way where you don't see it, or
Right.
a
Yep.
way that you can kind of just sneak
Yeah.
it in, and eventually just start trying to make it more whole, or try to put it where you can visibly see it, and just see how you feel about it.
I feel like we need to give every vegetable at least a few chances before you decide you don't like it, because it can be prepared in so many different
Yes,
ways with
I
so many different herbs and spices. And so
Yes.
if you don't like it one way, you might like it prepared in a
I
different
completely
way.
agree. And just in different phases. Like, I remember I didn't start eating Brussels sprouts until like 4.5 years ago. Because as a child, I was traumatized. In school, they just boiled it and like put it on a plate. And I was like, I'm not eating that.
Exactly.
I am not eating that.
Bitter and like
just no seasoning.
spices, nothing.
Yeah, it was, I was like, no. So, but as I, you know, again, wanted to explore and find more ways to eat vegetables, I figured out, oh, you can roast these with like a little bit of oil.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
some
my
seasoning.
favorite.
Oh,
Yep.
gosh.
Yeah.
And then my kids love it. They love it. So, and squash. I was not a huge fan initially of squashes. I didn't know how to cook it. And so again, it was just kind of tried some things out, learned from some people, and now I can eat it and it's good.
Yeah. Oh, I love squash, especially local squash. You can go to your farmer's market in the fall in Indiana and get some really good like acorn squash.
Yes. That is one I need to try.
Ooh, yeah.
I've just gotten over the butternut squash.
Butternut squash, yep. So they're really similar. They're different sizes, and obviously they look different, but they can be prepared very similarly. You can cut an acorn squash in half and cook it, boil it, bake it, and you can make it sweet with some cinnamon and maybe a little bit of maple syrup, or you can make it savory.
You make it sound good. I am going to try. And what's funny is when my boys were little and I would make their baby food or things like that, I gave them all of that, and then it's like it went away. Like I completely forgot what to do until now. So trying those new things all over again.
Squash.
So we have everything in our bowl, and then what we're going to do from here is add our spices and seasonings. So using the same thing: salt, some garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, some cumin. I think I need this now. Some paprika. Get our cumin and our garlic powder. Okay. I'm going to move these items out of the way. We don't need them right now. And we are going to measure it, but again, if you love garlic like we do, you can use a little bit more garlic.
No such thing as too much garlic.
It's no such thing as too much garlic. No such thing at all. Okay. And for each of the seasonings you're going to use, it calls for about a teaspoon of each of these seasonings. But again, please feel free to make it your own. All right, so 1 teaspoon of cumin. We'll start there. Add that in. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Stir that in. So what is your favorite way to work with cauliflower?
Ooh, I really like cauliflower wings. We tried cauliflower wings for the first time a few years ago, and just the way that they kind of mimic the texture of like a buffalo wing in a lot of ways, and the flavor. And a lot of vegetables and a lot of things take on the flavor that you marry with it. So whatever you want it to taste like, you have buffalo sauce. You put the buffalo sauce on there. You can bread them or not, and just bake them, and they really come out so well. Really.
I would agree with that.
So I like buffalo cauliflower wings. There's a ton of recipes these days online for cauliflower wings. We've really been doing riced cauliflower with stir fries. So a nice vegetable stir fry with some riced cauliflower is another favorite. I'm trying to think of what else. And then just roasting them, just cutting them into florets, breaking it off, and just olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, some garlic, onions, and just roasting it. Yeah. So those are my top 3, I think.
I got it. We are big fans of cauliflower wings as well. I don't make them a lot, but that might be one of our happy foods that we do on Saturdays. I try to keep it fairly healthy during the week, and then the weekends we can kind of. So I just mashed that kind of all together, combined. I was able to mash down the mushrooms a little bit more as well using this, but you just kind of mix it all together.
I definitely smell those spices.
Yes. I think I'm going to add a touch more garlic because we like garlic. So we're just going to go ahead and add more garlic to that. All right, what we got coming up next? So we're going to add all of this to our pan. And then what's going to happen with this is kind of all going to marry together. So we're going to add in the veggie broth. We're going to add in a little bit of soy sauce as well. And what I like about this recipe and what I've been doing personally is trying to cook with a little less oil.
Sure.
And use veggie broth or water and steaming the vegetables first and doing those things. Oil can be good. Even the healthy oils, though, if you think about it, 1 tablespoon of oil has like 120 calories in it.
Right.
Not to say you've got to be a huge calorie counter, but just thinking about how much oil that you're consuming in a day.
Yeah. And if it's really not necessary and you can sub out vegetable broth, why not?
Exactly. So this calls for about, I think, 1 cup of vegetable oil, or I'm sorry, 1 cup of veggie broth. No, 2 tablespoons. So we're just going to use the 1/4 cup measure. 1, 2. let's turn the heat down a little bit so it's not too steamy.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm actually going to add a little bit more so it doesn't stick. So I'm adding about another tablespoon of vegetable broth in the pan. Okay.
And the mushrooms, as you cook them, will exude some liquid as well, which will help.
Yep. All right, so that is all in there. And honestly, for this step, it's more just about combining everything, combining the flavor. Like you said, the cauliflower too will exude a little bit of liquid as well. So it's more about just kind of combining these all together, just to let the spices marinate together. I think we also need a little bit of soy sauce. How much soy sauce are we going to use? 2 tablespoons of the soy sauce. Tamari is a gluten-free sauce. So again, if gluten-free is what you're going for, you can find that pretty much anywhere you shop as well, if you don't want to use a regular soy sauce.
All right. 1 tablespoon.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
This smells really good.
Yes.
Let's let that marry together just for a little bit. Move this out of the way. Okay. And then we have our tortillas. You can use corn tortillas or flour tortillas, whatever your preference is. Depends on how I'm feeling, depends on what I'm using that day.
Yep.
So today we're going to use flour tortillas. And the assembly part of enchiladas is really easy. You basically take your meat filling, whatever that's going to be. In this case, we've got the walnuts, cauliflower, and mushrooms. You put it in there, you roll it all up. You're going to put it in a dish, smother it with your enchilada sauce, and then you bake it. So it's a fairly easy process when making these. So I'll do 2 of those out here. Where did that go? I'm going to take this back, toss it around a little bit more. We're also going to add black beans to this, which will give it another component of texture. Black beans are good in protein, for iron. It's just another really good fiber. Yeah, another great source to add to incorporate into your diet. Beans are awesome, and that's my kids sometimes will just eat beans and tortilla chips for a snack.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you warm up beans? Sure.
Your kids are great.
I mean, you know, and it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to kind of build it. Again, it's just really important. If your kids can go grocery shopping with you, I think that's going to be key. If you have children, to take them with you, let them kind of be in the kitchen and just see what you're doing, even if they're not doing it themselves. But just kind of giving them a shot. Because I think with all of us, if you kind of take ownership of something, you know, it makes it more valuable.
Oh, and yeah, so, having them in the kitchen, working with you and cooking and doing different things.
Yes.
Then dinner takes on a whole new meaning and they appreciate what they're eating.
Yes, for sure, yeah. And they're excited about it because it's like, oh, I helped make this. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And so then we have some rinsed black beans. Just use a basic can of black beans. Just rinse them a little bit, and we're going to add that into the mixture here as well. All right, awesome. So we've got the black beans added in here.
Ooh, that looks so good.
Yes. Yes. It looks amazing. And I've tried mushrooms and walnuts and beans, but I've never added the cauliflower.
Ooh,
so I think I like this idea. The black beans are unsalted, so I'm going to add just another pinch of salt. I would say it's about 1/4 teaspoon of salt just to give it a little extra bang.
And Ambrielle, do you use pink Himalayan salt at home as well?
I do. Yeah, I do. Pink Himalayan salt, it's from what I've read, is a little bit better for you.
Yep.
Helps to balance things out a little bit, helps with pH. If you see people that have like the pink Himalayan salt lamps around their houses, kind of supposed to bring out or take in the negative ions and help you sleep better and all that stuff. So yes, I use that at home.
Yeah, I understand it doesn't really have any additives that table salt might have as well.
Yes.
And a lot of table salt is bleached to be white.
Yes.
So pink Himalayan salt has minerals that you don't find in regular table salt. So we use it at home too.
Yes.
We love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so our meat mix is all done.
Looks
amazing.
incredible. Yes.
So with this, you have a couple of options of how you want to assemble it. So remember our
the cheese.
cashew sauce from earlier, yes. So you could either do it kind of one by one if you wanted, just to kind of add a drizzle. I like to usually just add things all in, kind of makes it creamy already for a filling. Do you have a preference?
Oh, I love that. Yes, okay. Let's do that.
So we're just going to kind of pour this in, and it'll add a different element. I'm excited about this.
It smells so good.
Yes. Yes. And this is a really, again, just a really simple, easy, put something together. This recipe is enchiladas. This could be on top of nachos.
Right.
You could do it as tacos. It can kind of do whatever you want it to do. That looks so good.
And if you wanted to leave one element out, like say you don't like cauliflower, you could leave the cauliflower out.
Absolutely.
Or if you don't like mushrooms, you could double up on the cauliflower.
Absolutely.
And that kind of thing. So really tailoring it.
Tailoring it to what you want. So we're gonna set that to the side. Just gonna mix all that in together really well. And then from here, we're just gonna put a little bit of filling in our tortillas, roll them up, put them in our dish, and then we're gonna drizzle the enchilada sauce on top. And then they're going to bake in the oven for a little while. That looks extremely good.
Yes.
All right, so what we do, go ahead and have your dish ready. And then you can take your enchilada sauce. You just kind of pour a little bit in the bottom, just to kind of create that base at the bottom. Put that right there. And then just kind of spread it around. Again, use as much as you want. This another way to eliminate from using oil.
Right, right. I was just thinking that, so you don't have to grease the sheet or anything like that.
Nope, nope. All right, so we'll put that there. Okay, and then we'll start stuffing these. So I'll stuff, you roll. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. Teamwork. I'm really excited about these. Okay. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of stuffing.
And I'm rolling them so that the seam goes on the bottom, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a minute since I've done enchiladas. Like, wait a minute, I think this is how.
I still forget sometimes, like, which way do I want to roll it?
All right, and then it goes in here like
that?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Add a little bit, a little more, a little touch to that. Okay, there's that one. You can tuck that in, make it smaller. Okay, that one's ready to be rolled. I'll reach over, excuse me.
Oops.
Awesome. Nice. Fill that up. That's a little full. We'll take a little bit of that out. All right.
Yeah, this can make probably, what do you think, a half dozen enchiladas at least?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
That's great. And if you were to make this at home, how many enchiladas would each of your kids eat?
It just depends. Probably, I mean, 1.5, 2. And this is a smaller dish that I'm using. You can use a longer dish, a 9 by 13, and you can fit a lot more in there, but we're just gonna do that, those few in there. So once everything's rolled up, it's put in the dish, we're gonna add a little bit more enchilada sauce on top.
Ooh.
I'm excited. And then for garnishment, you can always add some green onion or cilantro as your garnishment after you have baked your enchiladas. All right, so we have rolled up our enchiladas.
Yes, we have.
We drizzled our sauce all over it, so now we're going to take a trip to the oven and put them all in.
Okay, fantastic.
They're going to bake for about 20 minutes. Okay, I'll let you slide yours in first.
Okay.
So the oven is set at 375, and they're going to bake for about, like I said, 20 minutes. It depends on your oven. And honestly, all you're doing at this point is you're just kind of letting everything mold together. So you want the sauce to kind of be warm and get a little bubbly, the tortillas to get a little bit soft, and that's really all you're going for at this point. All right, well, it's been about 20 minutes, so we can take these out of the oven.
Ooh, yeah. They look great.
Sauce is cooked in. I've got mine. You can grab yours. Close the oven back. Down. And so sometimes what I will do also is I might still save a little bit of the enchilada sauce and then pour a little bit extra or dip. I'm all about sauces. I love sauces and dips and creams and dips and sauce.
I like all the sauces, all the condiments.
Yes. So now these are ready to serve. But yeah, any extra condiments that you want to add, if you want to make guacamole or just have some avocado slices.
Ooh, guacamole would be good.
Yeah. Or just salsa itself, just a red salsa verde. There's so many options that you can have. So we're gonna, let me slide these off. I forgot I had some. Alrighty.
Looks great.
There's that one. I'm putting all of them on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can put them on one plate. We have a couple more plates here too. We can do 3 and 3.
All right. And so as a garnishment, we're gonna just roughly chop some cilantro. I love cilantro. It's one of my favorite things to eat or to add on top as a garnishment. I also cook with it sometimes in rice dishes. If for some reason you don't have cilantro for a dish, coriander is the same thing as cilantro. So coriander is another type of spice. It's the seed of the cilantro that you can always use in dishes as well. But for this, we're going to use it as a little bit of garnish.
You were saying chives or chopped green onions might be good too. So if you don't like cilantro, or if you don't have cilantro, you can definitely use some green onions as well.
Absolutely.
And I always find that cilantro has a very strong flavor, so if it's not something you're familiar with, maybe start with a little bit less.
Yes.
And at the end, if you don't like it, it's not necessary anyway.
Right. It is strictly optional.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Gonna dig in.
Let's have at it. Here, pass me that there, and I'll grab that one.
There we go. I'll use this one.
And I do like cilantro, so I'll make sure I get
I do too.
a little bit in every bite.
What do you think?
Very good.
The texture is good.
When she made it, she did a dance. Unfortunately, I can't do the dance, but I can do.
You can do that. Ah, yes, good. Good.
This is really good. It is really good. The texture, you would not know that there's not meat in this dish. It's creamy. The Alfredo sauce that you put in there, and the nutritional yeast.
Yes.
It makes it taste cheesy. It is something you would really, really
It
enjoy.
worked.
It really works.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I really like the texture of all the different vegetables kind of combined together. It does give it that sort of very substantial feeling to it.
That
So
depth,
it's-
and it's
depth, yeah.
filling.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's filling.
yes.
with the walnuts.
Yeah,
too.
and
I
the
think
walnuts, you get a little
make
bit of
big
crunch.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quick, easy meal. Glad everybody enjoyed it. Very creamy. Don't forget that tip about cheating with the Alfredo sauce. If you don't have raw cashews in the process to do it, add a little bit of broth, a little bit of nutritional yeast, mix it all together. Got it.
And so another super easy recipe from our chefs at Indy Eats, and we hope that you will try this out at home. Serve it to your family tonight.
Thank you.